What are the key things that went wrong?
The review highlights that the culture within the school was endemic, and it prevented people who had concerns from reporting it. You'll be aware, as I stated, that there were we identified 30 separate instances within the school, only 11 of which were reported to the head teacher ultimately, and that culture was suppressive. The policies and procedures existed, they weren't adhered to, so it was the practice and the culture which caused this to happen.
How can you ensure something like this doesn't happen again?
We can never ensure without any doubt whatsoever. All we can do is to make sure that the practices, policies, the procedures, the training for the teacher, the training for the governors is recorded. There were no formal records of training, although staff were trained, but we don't know who was trained, when they were trained, what level of take-up of the training was concerned. So I think training is a very important thing, and that is one of the recommendations within the report, which has already been acted upon.
It seems odd that this teacher was allowed to take children into a separate room next to the classroom where no one could see him and the child.
I agree with you. It's totally wrong. It's not just odd, and that is part of the culture within the school, which I've just mentioned. The teachers there within the school were doing a fantastic job, the majority of them, but they didn't feel empowered to be able to voice their concerns in the way that they should have been able to.
As the head teacher who has now been sacked, has he expressed regret that he didn't take the concerns that were brought to him seriously?
That is a question you have to ask the governors, because I was not part of the disciplinary process, and obviously that is chaired by the Board of Governors.
Why was it that the head teacher didn't take his concerns outside of the school?
Again, that is perhaps a question for the governors. What we know as the Safeguarding Board is that the first time I read the report, I was really angry with reading the content of the fact that he failed, not only him, but the school, the governors and the culture failed to report this to the local authority or to the police or indeed any other organisation.
If there were three things that could be put right, the most important things, what would they be?
A feeling of empowerment by everybody involved in the school, from the head teacher right the way through to the teaching assistants, the people the dinner ladies, for want of a better expression. There has to be a culture of empowerment which runs through the school, point one. The training that these people get to recognise symptoms of grooming, which I mentioned, for some people it was really, really obvious the first time that I read the report that what Nigel Leat was doing was grooming children, but that fact wasn't recognised by some of his colleagues, so that's hugely important. And then leadership from the top has got to be a key part of this, and that was lacking.
Where there's a will, there's often a way. This could happen again if there was another Nigel Leat, but presumably it would be a lot more difficult.
Yes, it could happen again, as I mentioned earlier on, but if you have that feeling of empowerment, the culture of the school, the training, and the supportiveness of individual teachers to all other staff, that limits the possibility of this happening again.